Welcome back to more of Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped. Last time we finished up all of the secret levels, and now it's time to start with the Platinum Relics. So, before we go in, I'm going to explain a few things. Firstly, the Platinum Relics will be done with post-commentary. Trust me, you will see why once I get to Hog Ride. Secondly, is that something that I actually didn't get a chance to mention when I first showed off the time trials, is that there a mechanic that was introduced in Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped. The Sane Trilogy remake added time trials and relics to Crash 1 and 2, but those games weren't designed with relics in mind. As such, Warped is the only game in the trilogy where relics are required for 100% completion. One more thing to talk about regarding the Platinum Relics is that, well, you won't see it here because I don't have the option to press the R button to check the target time, because as of now I've already recorded the Platinum Relic here, so... Cutting to a level where I don't have the Platinum Relic, if you press the R button, you can see the time that you need to get the next relic up from what you currently have. Now, in the original version of this game, you couldn't see the Platinum Relic times in the Warp Room until you got 100% and beat Cortex for the second time. You can always see the Platinum Relic requirement times in the Sane Trilogy, though. So, with that preamble out of the way, it's time to begin the time trials. So, here we are in Toad Village, the first level of the game, and as you would expect, its time trial is pretty easy, and sets the standard for most of the platforming level time trials. Hold down the speed shoes button for as long as you can, and hit as many time freezer boxes that aren't completely out of your way, and also, you know, not die, because there are no checkpoints in time trials. Slide jumping over some gaps can help, but overall I do find it a little bit slower. I did slow down there a little bit by bouncing that box. You might notice here as well that I am not touching the masks. So normally you want to go invincible in time trials, but Toad Village is one of only 3 platforming levels in the game where you cannot get 3 masks. There are only 2 in the level. So I'm just skipping the masks because I know I don't need them, and why go out of your way to grab the boxes if you're not going to need them? So anyway, you can actually run on the side walls of the level, and I'm just showing that off here. So with that, we get Platinum by a couple of second margin. Toad Village is really not a hard level to get the Platinum Relic on. So with that, off to the next one. Under Pressure. Now, for this, I decided to go a little bit above the clock to start, and then swim straight down, just to grab this mask. Now, you cannot get invincibility in underwater levels, but the masks do help for running straight through obstacles that you don't want to waste time dodging. Like these electric rotating grates. Basically, the theme of the underwater levels, I really shouldn't have done that, there was no reason for me to get those bottom 2 boxes on the stack, but I guess that's a force of habit. The theme for the underwater levels is to spin as much as possible, and when you're not spinning, mash the X button to fast kick. Now, there are no time freezes down that shaft, so you can just head straight down the middle. And once you get the submarine thingy, focus on boosting as much as possible, but there are some time freezes that are hidden inside Coral, and you might notice that I already missed a bit of Coral here. Missing 1 or 2 time freezes in this level is really not that bad, since the Platinum Relic time is fairly lenient. But I decided to get one of the time freezes here. Shoot a few torpedoes to clear the way, and then spam boosts. And smash the submarine on that shark, and get out. So it was actually faster than the developer record on that level. In the original PS1 version, the Platinum time on this level was even more lenient. It was like 1 minute 10. And so next up is the first Tiger level, Orient Express, and these levels are extremely fun to time trial. Basically, you have to hold down the run button and grab as many time freezes as possible. Running also destroys those barrels. Now, I skipped the Aku Aku mask here because, like the underwater levels, you can't go invincible here, and if I'm not going to need a mask, I'm not going to go out of my way for it. But that mask was directly in my path, so I went for it. Now, here I like to slow down slightly to make sure I don't miss that ramp, because there's a hefty 4 seconds of time freezy goodness up there, which you want to get. Now for this one, I also think I slowed down slightly to make sure that I didn't go on that jump. to make sure that I got the time freezes there, and that's the end. So this level took me quite a few resets. Its platinum time is not super hard to get, but I like to make my run look as clean as possible, so I thought that one looked pretty alright. You can do that a lot better though, as you can see by the developer record. Basic theme of that is to hold run as much as possible and get every time freeze you can. Now, Boneyard is probably the one truly difficult platinum time trial in the first warp room. So for this one, you get to see in full force just how much the Crash Dash, well, that's what it's called in the later game, but it's called Speed Shoes here, how much that power-up destroys the Triceratops chase sequences. I don't really have these ones fully memorized, but generally with minimal improvisation, you can do pretty well at these. Just swerve around the Pteranodons and jump over the lava. You only need single jumps here, not double jumps. Make sure you grab that mask, because there's a third mask coming up that you want to grab here. So with these masks, with the mask invincibility, you can run on lava, but what I'm actually showing here is, even though the invincibility mask destroys the grass on contact, it still slows you down slightly. I think it's a little bit faster to still spin the grass, even when you're invincible. So you'll see me spin grass every time I encounter it with this invincibility on. Now here, you just keep running. No need to hit that exclamation mark box. None of those are time freezes. But there is a time freezer here that you want to make sure you hug the right wall to grab. Because unlike the ones in the chase sequences, the Triceratops is, well, not there to break them for you. Speaking of which, in the chase sequences like this one, obviously, it doesn't matter if you miss time freezes, the Triceratops will get them for you. I did run into the grass a few times here, so really not the best run in the world, but not the worst either, and here's the end. Jump in the portal. Under 1 minute 20 seconds. So yeah, I actually did get to the end a few times and still failed that one. That one's not entirely easy. And now the first jet ski level, so I'm actually stalling slightly before I hit the clock, just to make sure that the cycles line up on the cannons for the first ship that we pass. So the jet ski levels are interesting when it comes to time trialing, because you can't really make the jet ski go any faster. You basically just have to cut corners as much as possible, do not hit ramps unless there are time freezes on them, although I could be wrong about that. I'm not sure if you go faster jumping off ramps or not. And basically, just take turns timely, use masks to cut corners through obstacles where you can. You can't go invincible on these levels either, so don't be stingy with your masks. Always use them where needed. So here I like to hold right just to get as close to the inside of this turn as possible, and here you're going to see me abuse a mask to skip a sharp turn. Like I said, don't be stingy with your masks. You can't go invincible, no reason to hoard them. Just use them to cut corners, go past obstacles that it would otherwise take a long time to dodge. I kind of screwed up a little bit here, slowing down slightly. You basically want to keep moving. There are times in these levels where you can keep the clock frozen almost constantly, but not really in this one. We're approaching the end already, and actually the end of this video, yeah, pretty short one, but that's time trials for you. Went through here. Now, I second-guessed myself a little bit here and swerved because I thought I was going to hit the Smee boat, but it turns out that I didn't, so there was really no reason there. And there's actually a fake crash cameo at the end of this level, but I'll show those off in a bonus video. That's Platinum, so that's the entire first Warp Room done. See you for Warp Room 2's time trials.